Hi, I'm Kyla. I'm a translator. More than that, I'm a copy editor and a proofreader. I am a big fan of precision in language. So when the chance to learn about natural language processing came up, I was so excited. Here I am, having finished a boot camp at the place that inspired me most to do it, and I couldn't be more happy with what I've learned and what I'm doing. A little bit about me here. But more important right now is what I've done. I looked at the gender bias in the language, in the dialogue used in the TV show Friends. Um, a lot of people know that are a lot of gender stereotypes in this show, like Rachel's the girly girl and, things like that. So I wanted to see whether that was true, like but from a data perspective. So first thing I did was I did a what's called a sentiment analysis, where you build a model and you teach the machine to go through each word and each phrase in the dialogue, and it looks for patterns, and it gives each word or phrase a score. And that can tell you whether something is very negative, like I hate my job, or this show sucks, or whatever. Very positive, obviously some are neutral, like today is Monday. And then it comes up with a compound score as well. Overall, I found for, for the most part, almost the entire show, it used pretty neutral dialogue. Some were a little more negative and some were a little more positive, but for the most part, it was neutral, which was actually pretty perfect for setting me up for being able to then look at how the language was used, what they were saying exactly. And as a small note, the tool, the library within Python that we use to look this up is called the Vader Sentiment Intensity Analyzer. And I would just like to say that we are presenting this on May the 4th. So I looked at, it took a long time to get the data into properly cleaned so that I could be able to consider how things were being used. By cleaning the text, I mean removing stop words. So the, about, a, little things like that don't really affect the feeling of the text or the meaning of the text, but that, for example, if we did a frequency range, if we looked up the frequency of all of the words in the show, the would be number one, or I and you. So we removed a lot of those words, and we came up with, I did a couple different things. One was just looking at the frequency of each of them, and of course, Ross and Rachel are very big. The larger the word, the more frequently it came up in the show. God, as in, oh my God, you guys would not believe. Of course, that one's big. And then I did a topic modeling. That's where you build a machine learning model to look for clusters of words or groups. And so when I did it specifically for all of Monica's dialogue, the character Monica, of course, it came up with baby, work, all kinds of things like that. Yeah. Of course, Chandler is in here. I mean, Sweetie, what she calls her friends, and this one came out pretty well. Of the being able to look at the frequency of the phrases and the words in the text was really important. And of course, these are the most, I built a separate model to look at the adjective and then noun combinations. So, a little bit, or high school, or big deal, best friend. And this is for all characters throughout the entire 10-year series. And there were quite a few. So this is just the top 30. I have to admit that I made this slide title specifically for my family. My late grandmother used to say, "Really?" in a way that we all still imitate. So about half of the adverb adjective phrases in the entire cast 10-year run were really something. Really great, really good, really nice, really weird, really hot, really beautiful, etc. So the size of the nodes of the circles out here indicates the frequency. So really good was more frequent than really stupid. Good thing. I wanted to look also at who talks more in this show because, oh, I got that caption wrong. Please pretend like you didn't see that. Um, because of the neutrality, of the overall neutrality of the text, I then wanted to see, do the men talk more? Is it only Rachel all day, every day? Things like that. So this is very hard to see on this size screen, but each of these colors here represents one of the main 6 characters. And for example, in season 2, episode 20, this is Ross here. He had the most lines in that episode. But in episode 7, he had the second most. And in episode 22, he had the third or fourth most. So it's, it changes every time, and it's interesting to see how they go together. And look how small he is on this one compared to how big he is on that one. So the percentage of the total words spoken by each character throughout all of the seasons was actually not surprising. Ross and Rachel, of course, are the main 2, and they're about equal. Chandler and Joey come next, literally equal, and then Monica and Phoebe pretty close behind them. Looking at just the gender of who speaks the most, again, almost equal, but with the men being just a little bit higher. And other. Unfortunately, there are no non-binary or other gendered people represented in this show, but this one refers to mixed gender groups, and there was about less than 5% of the total dialogue that I did not gender encode. I mean, that I didn't classify as either male or female. And this is a more detailed look at the same thing. This is women down here at the bottom, and then men here, and it's 48% of the dialogue went to men in season 1, and 47 for women in season 1. So this is the same information, just separated by season. Here it says, talking about how frequently they say, "I'm sorry." So, or just the word sorry. And that was very interesting to me, given that men and women speak about the same, with men being just a little bit more, and that the overall sentiment feel, the feel of the text was neutral. The fact that women apologize more is interesting. It says a lot about how women are socialized. Ross is right up here with the top 2 women, and as others have pointed out, it's kind of a running joke in the show that, Ross is the more feminine of the 2, and Monica, his sister, is less so. And you can see that in their speech, even just with the one word sorry. Looking at the character names and the people who are given speaking roles on this show, I was looking at occupations. So this plot shows how often somebody uses the word waitress in a sentence, whether it's to say, "Waitress, would you please refill my coffee?" or "Rachel is working as a waitress." And that is 37 times throughout the entire 10 years of the show. Waitresses had speaking roles 67 words in 10 years. However, specifically gendered male waiters were mentioned 23 times, which is less than waitresses, and given 600 words spoken throughout the 10-year show. There were no gender neutral servers mentioned at all. Next occupation we have is policeman. I wanted to look at this specifically because as I was going through the dialogue, I noticed that why would they say policeman and not police officer? And it's because every single police officer in this show is male, 100%. So, what would I like to do more next? Given more time, I would love to look at the evolution of the gender biases in this show. Did they get better? Did they get more progressive as the seasons went along? I mean, they started in the mid 90s and they ended in the mid aughts. Quite a bit happened socially in that time. I would love to be able to look more at like how things changed within this same show. Also, I think it would be a lot of fun, and that might just be me being a natural language processing nerd, to do this whole process again with another show. Once, of course, once you get the text clean, sorted and arranged and remove all the extraneous words, I think it would be a lot of fun to run the same models and see how another show compares. Couple other ideas for other fun things that I would like to do. So if anybody has any ideas or suggestions on what to add, please let me know. I'm interested. I think this is so much fun. So for now, that is all. To answer Joey's very frequent question, how you doing? I am exhausted, but also exhilarated. I love this. This is so much fun. Please find me on LinkedIn, Twitter, GitHub,